Hello and welcome to the Low-Code Campfire for September 5, 2025. This is episode number 210. I am Dale Warner, Head of Support for Plant and App. We'll talk about a lot of things. One of them is did some exploration on EXIF, and hopefully that'll be of interest to you as well. This is an event that we do every Friday, 10 a.m. Central Time, where we get together and talk about Plant and App and the techniques that we use, the challenges and experiences that we have, and quite often we help people get deeper into the world of Plant and App and low code. But this is all skill levels welcome, from beginner to expert and everywhere in between. We record all of these and put them on YouTube. You can get to those at youtube.com/plantandapp. We run the same agenda week by week. Well, most of the time anyway. We stop and say hello because we're a friendly group, and then we chat around the campfire. We always do first call and submitted topics. We have no submitted topics today, so we only have what you bring to it. And then beyond that, we talk about what's going on our campfire website, our community website, maybe feature requests, areas of the product that we were just learning about. We call those dark corners. There are lots and lots of features in the product, and it's amazing that even now, more than 5 years in, I keep learning about new places within the product. And anyway, we'll do that for an hour or so, and then we'll go into our afterglow segment. That's where we turn off the recording, raise a virtual adult beverage, and enjoy each other for a few more minutes. So please do engage with us. You can submit questions and topics in advance simply by sending an email to support@plantandapp.com. And if I get one of those, I will try to do a little bit of research before we just post it, and we'll have something to talk about on these Friday meetings. With that, I will say good morning and hello.
Good morning, Dale.
Good morning.
Hello.
Oh, Mark, I enjoy it when everyone shows up, but Mark, I'm glad that you showed up because I think the EXIF thing might be of interest to you. So
Yeah, my ears perked up right away.
excellent. But before we get to that, what did you guys bring? Anything? Nothing? Okay. Well, we can always circle back to first call. I always bring a few things that I'm prepared with, and I think I had teased a little bit of this by email, but this one we've been talking about for a while, and we're finally pulling the trigger on it. We want to make sure that you're aware of it, that starting with Plant and App version 128, finally removing support for Bootstrap 3. And so then that will be just by way of background, Bootstrap 3 external product developed by others and widely used, but it went end of life in 2019. Bootstrap 5 is what we're currently using. And so, yeah, we've been telling you it's been obsolete for a while, and now we're going to remove it. Um, the removing it allows us to have a little bit less technical debt. Uh, that means that, for example, when we do things, change forms and listings, and the new forms that's under development, it has to work right with Bootstrap 5, but we don't have to continue to try and maintain compatibility with something that's very, very old. Anyone have any questions about how to move from Bootstrap 3 or Bootstrap 5 to Bootstrap 5? Has anybody had any trouble, or does this raise an alarm that, oh, uh, I haven't taken care of this? Okay, it's going to be one of those days.
Go
Go ahead.
ahead. There's no problem. I got no problem with that.
All right. See, so that's 100% of the respondents say that there's no problem. This is the one that I did mail out. If you come to Campfire regularly, you probably got one of these. There's a very old product, Redirect Toolkit. I don't know if you know that it exists. I don't know if anybody is using this, but this has we're faced with this is broken in our version 128. It's not been maintained for years because it's a pretty low use product. Most of the things that you can do with it are available in other ways. And so we anticipate that you'll need to uninstall it. We'll have instructions if you happen to be using it. We'll have instructions about how to move forward, but you won't be able to use it in version 128. Anybody with feedback on this or questions or concerns?
So if you don't uninstall it first, um, your your upgrade will be unsuccessful. Is that correct?
That's the best that I know. That's what I'm encountering now.
Okay.
And so and what happens is the when we don't release newer versions of something with a in a release, so we have this, if you have this toolkit installed and it relies on certain DLLs, so it's calling other parts of our product. So as we release newer things, maybe we've removed something that or renamed something, and when we're not maintaining that, then Redirect Toolkit is trying to start up. It's calling a DLL, expecting to find a method called X. X doesn't exist, and so it just blows up big time. You get a yellow screen of death. So, yep,
Okay.
it's to be removed. DLLs removed. That is a general advice that I would give too if you're uninstalling things within the DNN. Let's see if I can find one here. So first of all, you can tell if you look in settings extensions, you can see the extensions that you have installed. And Redirect Toolkit shows up here in the list as redirection rule management. There is a delete icon for it, which is what, so this will tell you that you have it. You can click into the yes icon to find out where it exists within your site, and you can navigate to it and figure out what you're doing with it. Just so I was just going to give the general guidance that if you click the delete icon on this or any module, there's this choice here, delete files, and generally advise that you check the checkbox, because if you don't check the checkbox, this removes the extension from your ability to use it within DNN, but it does that leaves the DLLs behind, and if those have any incompatibilities with later versions, those might cause other issues. So if you're done with it, delete them. That's my understanding. Standard warnings. Anytime you're deleting things or upgrading, you should have backup of your file system and your SQL database so that you can restore. And if something doesn't go as you expect, even little things, you should have a backup. Any questions on that? Always happy to explain how to do those things or point you in the direction. Okay. So I don't hear any feedback. Is anybody using this? Is anybody sad that it's going away? Without objection, so ordered. Moving on. Documentation updates. Nope, that's not it. Here we go. I may have mentioned something about this last week, but I'll say it again. In 1.28, we're changing the way that you use tokens if you use them in your page themes. So if you don't use them, if you haven't modified your themes already, this doesn't apply to you. But if you've modified your themes so that you can have tokens wherever you want, for example, you could put the user's first name someplace in the header of your page, having nothing to do with a form or a listing module. And so this is how you would do it. You would have added this to the top of an ASPX object, or maybe it's an ASCX, I can't remember. And then where you wanted the token, you would wrap it in a tag like my tokens tokenize, and then it would know to tokenize. So there's a couple of different ways, maybe even 3 different ways to do that. Going forward, there's just going to be one. And so in 128, this is the way that it's going to happen. So if you if you haven't modified your themes, this doesn't apply to you. If you have, this is just a step you'll have to take during the upgrade. We are investigating whether we can release this during 127, which would allow you to make the changes anytime you want in 127, and then it would just be ready when you upgrade to 128. But at the moment, that's not available. So we'll keep you posted if that becomes available. In the meantime, this is probably going to be a 10-minute task that you'll have to do during the upgrade. So we're trying to let you know in advance the things that are coming your way. All right. Moving on. All right, now we get to the fun stuff. EXIF. We have, as you probably know, the Campfire plantainapp.com website, which is all about how different ways that PlantainApp can be used. And so I added a contribution that will help you get, or can be used to understand how to get EXIF information from a file. So for example, and I have a button, okay, let's see. You can follow along. This read more button will show you where there's a walkthrough video, where to find the tool, and where to find the workflow. But just at the demonstration level, I have a button here that calls a workflow that says, I want the EXIF information for an image that is on my file system. And so it goes out and gets it. And I was blown away by how much information is available or can be available. This is a photo that was taken by an iPhone, it was my iPhone. If anybody wonders, I have an iPhone 12. And there is just a ton of information. I was surprised to find apparently they assign GUIDs in Apple world, so that might be handy to uniquely identify. The thing that I was really interested in learning about was that there is all kinds of GPS information. So latitude and longitude and above sea level by, where does it show altitude? Somewhere here. Let's find it. Oh, right. Yeah, so I'm apparently 145 meters above sea level here in outside of Dallas, Texas. Um, Dates and times, and one of the things that annoyed me about this was that it was returning all this GPS latitude, longitude in minutes and degrees and not decimal. So I enhanced these are properties that I have added with some computation so that it's just and so my use case is I'm hoping to take images and be able to drop them on a map and show where they were taken.
Hmm.
But there's a whole lot of information available. Comments about EXIF?
That looks really cool, Dale. What was your purpose in doing all this?
Well, my primary purpose was contributing something back to the Campfire website. I like to move things forward and highlight the various things that Plantain App is capable of without. This was probably a 3-hour project for me and my assistant. Um, so yeah, um, but again, if you've followed along for any time, you know I do a lot of stuff with mapping, and I like to. So the idea of, hey, I have this image and I want to map it, required getting the latitude, longitude, and I had some understanding that that was going to be in the information somehow. How do I get it out? So that was my interest, but I don't really have a practical use for it yet. If you if you do explore this one, the workflow has the ability to get everything, so instead of just returning JSON, which I think, well, I'll mention it's JSON very consumable within Plantain app, but also JSON arrays are consumable. And so if you do get EXIF for folder, every image in the folder that you specified is returned. So now we see there's two different uh, things in this folder. There's this one that we were just looking at, and then I've got another one down here. So um, that's everything. We can look in the site assets and see this. So I have two different files here, and then I've got another file in a lower level. So if we were to look at, I got to go back to where I was here. Got another button that does folders and subfolders. You just tell it to recurse, and it'll go down to the additional levels as well. So if you had a bunch of images and you wanted to get them all and stuff them in a database and have all these properties available to you, very easy to go out and do that. And yeah, you can also save it as a file that could be downloadable as well. So lots of different ways to use this workflow. All right, I was sure that was going to generate some discussion, but
I think a crafty person could use this information to personally identify a user. At the very least, what you said about finding out their location in the world, um, which is handy for a lot of things. But also, if there were a way to make that a recurring operation where when someone logs in, it communicates that information on an image on their system. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud because there's a lot of things that a person would want to do that are legitimate for wanting to know a location or a personally identifiable thing. So I
well,
think opening
I
some doors.
I think that's a good point. And so, another piece of this is what's going on your devices as you're submitting social media photos. So I suppose you should be aware that um, any picture you're taking, sharing could be sharing all this information unintentionally. I suspect there's ways to strip it as well. So if security is an issue, that's another thing. But to your point, um, there is a lot of information in here, and I would suspect that if you just what you said, that I mean, the fact that I have an iPhone 12 and um, if you were paying attention to these properties, that things there's probably things that are unique about mine submissions that would be different from others, and so you might be able to tell that one photo was submitted by the same camera as another, for example. But it's amazing, it's showing whether or not the flash was there, and whether it was the front camera or the back camera. Um, and then the GPS information also had Sorry for scrolling around on you. I'm going to get it down to just one file here so we can find it. But um, if you start researching some of these things, this is showing that I was in motion when I took this picture, and it shows in 3 dimensions which way or the speed that I was moving. Um,
Hmm.
I mean, it's just a lot of information. So,
Yeah, there's a lot there. It's helpful to remember that sometimes that information, all the EXIF information or selected parts of it, depending on situations, does and can get stripped out of an image, especially when it's being edited. So
that's a good.
so don't count on it being there. It's more like great if you can get it, but don't count on it.
Correct. And I was so, for example, I had this one of these. It's got a lot of information, but it doesn't have GPS information in it, and yet it was taken by an iPhone. I think maybe um, yeah, I edited it on the phone um, before I uploaded it, and so it made some changes to it. You're right. You, the camera is and device is in charge of what it puts in there. You can only it's got a standard way to pull it out. You but like there is no latitude longitude with this one. So
Yeah, and those are just caveats, and please don't construe that to mean that this isn't valuable information. I think it's very valuable. It's very useful. I think in one use case, um, I had at one time a website that was for classic car owners, and they would go to a show or a meet. And with that information, if I could get someone to upload a picture of their car in place, it could give me their location, and then I would know, the system would know if one of their buddies is at the same show. And it could let them know about their buddy being
sure.
there. And so like there's very useful things that you can get out of there. I really like it.
Alrighty. Well, that's EXIF. And it's out there for, like I said, I invested about 3 hours. There's a it uses a publicly available and downloadable tool, an executable that has to be on the server. Um, and so I didn't install it, or I think a quite old tool, so it didn't require even an installation dialog. It just had the executable and its related files has to be there someplace on your system. And the workflow that I did, you'll probably, if you, anyone who's using this would probably have to adapt it, but um, it's not very difficult. There's um, all the definition of where to find the EXIF tool, the input path, the output path, and whether or not you want it to recur. So I'll get set up in the front of it, and then this PowerShell runs and returns the JSON eventually, whether it returns it to a file or to directly to you so that you can output it. And I'll just mention there's another one that's kind of handy here. There's a razor in the front of this that gives me the root path. I wanted this is um, one way to get where is my website? Where does the root of my website so that you can put things relational to there, which is what I was trying to do when I was writing this, so that you didn't have to work in absolute paths, but rather just relative to the website that you're working on.
Hmm.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Um, so
So
fun
Jenna,
fact. Yeah.
yeah, I'm directed towards Jenna. I'm wondering if an iPhone knows how high you are above sea level when you are in the sky.
I know
Uh,
it. I'm sure it does.
I'm sure it does. Actually, I've never used it like while jumping because I don't take my phone out. I'll drop it. But
But it's
often we go to demonstration jumps and maybe the takeoff point is at the airport is different than the place that we land. And so I definitely get out my compass and you can see elevation and all the things right there.
yeah, I'm thinking that the phone probably doesn't have if the right word is altimeter. I don't know if it knows how high you are. It probably does it in
It
association
does.
with latitude and
It does.
longitude. It does?
Yeah, it does.
No.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
the answer.
Yeah,
Well,
it
that's
does.
cool information to know.
Yeah, there's lag time, so you can't really use it live for skydiving because it wouldn't pick it up that quick,
Oh, yeah,
but
you're going
it
pretty
does.
fast.
It so it's probably triangulating whether it's from satellites or from cell towers, but it's
I'm not. Yeah, I feel like that there actually is an altimeter, but maybe I'm wrong. I thought that I had.
If it's not built in, I know there are some because they were, we have we call it STAR. It's
Hmm.
Skydiving Technology Advancement Roundup to try to get, you know, as an association, we're just trying to promote businesses or startups to contribute to technology in our industry. And so absolutely know that there are apps that do that. And, that the biggest problem is the latency, really.
Okay,
If it's not a dedicated device.
so I think that proves that the phone is able to do it.
but you
It's yeah. It's not. It's not precisely an altimeter, really. It's using a combination of your location. I did the same thing you did. Yeah.
so
Yeah.
the calculation is there, and so now you're gonna depending on signals and GPS is
And barometric pressure, evidently.
yeah. So
It uses
uh,
your yep.
I'll have to look it up to yeah, I'm sure I can find out what my altitude is here and
Well,
kind of compare it. But it'd be interesting. Is it within a meter? Well, for a lot of purposes, that would be useful if it's yeah.
our analog altimeters are actual mechanical analog altimeters, and the ones that you find generally in airplanes are only barometric pressure, and you have to change the dial to set it to 0 for elevation. Or if you're in an airplane, you call up this automated little um, it tells you information. This little automated system. It's just like a repeating set of information, and it'll tell you what you need to set your altimeter to in order to make sure that it's reading correctly according to the
Hmm,
barometric pressure, and that's it. It's
cool.
not even fancy like the
Mm,
other things, like the iPhone. Not fancy.
mm.
Wow, that's good to know. Well, that's a really cool thing, Dale. I'm sure that you were right to call out my name on this one. I'll be using that. I still have a number of applications for photos, and this will be part of it. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely. I've been receiving some email about a competition, and that would be interesting, I would think, to grab and see what's available and what do you do with it. So I thought this one might be interesting, just to kind of picture where you are on the version adoption chart. Um, we version 127, our current version released in June. Um, the numbers are coming up for that. Um, and just as a comment and a warning, I'm finding, I mean, we've upgraded all of our internal systems to version 127, and as a matter of fact, we've taken a very aggressive stance with this. Uh, uh, as compared to where were a few years ago. We have a lot of internal systems that we use that are required in order for us to run, and we're upgrading to them as soon as we possibly can. And because if we don't trust them, you shouldn't trust them, right? So all of our systems are on 127, at least the ones everything that we're using actively. So I'm saying it's stable. On the other hand, I'll just make a note. There's one client that's having an issue upgrading to 127 because one of the features in 127 is to turn on a bunch of indexing that we had that for performance reasons. Um, so, for example, when your table, if you create an entity that has sorting or filtering, this automatically triggers or it might be searching. I don't know. But uh, it without turning on a SQL index, it might be slow. And so we found that adding these indexes automatically as you create the entity makes the entity much more performant. But if you have a few million rows and a lot of data in the rows, uh, that's timing out when we install this and it's turning on these indexes. You can we don't allow enough time to complete that operation, and so the upgrade is failing in one instance that we know about. So if you have huge data, you might think twice about upgrading to 127 or do it in a clone to make sure that you should always do it with backup, but do it in a clone to make sure that it succeeds. Anyone with any comments about that?
I'm using 127 on a number of sites, and I've had very good experience.
Nice, thank you. All right. We are to the end of anything I've prepared. What is it? Halfway through our allotted time. So it's time now to track back to the things that you want to talk about.
Skydiving again? Just kidding.
No problem with that.
I can just put out to this group the question that I had earlier this week, Dale, about executing asynchronous operations on a button. See if anybody's come up with a better solution than I did.
Yes, please do.
So the problem that I was experiencing was that I have a button that executes some asynchronous JavaScript. It's calling a plant app API, and getting information, getting data back from the API, and then with that data, it makes a bunch of changes to the form. It adds some text to some buttons. It changes the value of some hidden fields that are that other fields in the form are bound to those fields, so that I basically change the form state without reinitializing the form, and it's pretty important for my use case to do just that. And what I was experiencing was that the because the AJAX runs asynchronously on the button was switching to and I was doing a JavaScript and stop execution, and so the button was switching to a finished state before the JavaScript changes had a complete impact on the form. So the buttons were just reappearing and were clickable again. But ultimately they were being hidden by the JavaScript. So they would reappear, they were clickable again, and then they would disappear, and all the other changes would appear in place. And the problem, for most cases, it wasn't really an issue, but we had a situation where there was some environmental variables, and we're not really sure what those variables are, if it was just slow internet or or a slow computer or whatever, but if everything gets slowed down enough, you really get to see that those buttons reappear, and you have time to actually click them. And in the worst case, which is what we saw in one situation, it just looked like nothing was happening. And then several seconds later, probably 7, maybe 10 seconds later, suddenly what you want the person to see would appear. And so it was really a bad user experience. And I just could not figure out a way to. I tried putting the JavaScript in a promise. If I don't know if anybody's familiar with basically what that works, but you basically tell that you tell your function call that you're going to be running an asynchronous operation, and you tell it to wait while that asynchronous operation until you have a completion from it. I tried doing a function callback. So I tried lots of things and nothing worked. And basically what it came down to, and that it seemed as if no matter what I did, that Planted app, once it perceived that the button was done, it was changing the state of the button back to the standard state. So I don't know. Has anybody else seen something like that and had it and come up with a solution for it?
No. So, out of curiosity, did you have this is where you are with it now? You haven't it remains unsolved.
Well, no, I don't know if you saw or not, but I updated the I actually closed the ticket that I opened with you. I ended up and gave you an update there. I came up with a workaround. My workaround was that I ran some JavaScript before my JavaScript, and that what that does is I specify certain uh, button IDs and one field ID, and I find the parent div and hide the div,
Mm-hmm.
and the resulting what the end result of that is that I still get buttons that's changed to a please wait state, but then when when the please wait state ends, um, I have another static text field that replaces them that says please wait, and then I get my completely refreshed form after that. So it basically hides them so they're still going back to their available state, but when they do that, they're hidden.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So,
Hey, Patrick, did you try turning off the asynchronous? Like, would that make the difference if they ran sequentially?
So the doing the Ajax API call is what's causing it to be async, and I'm not aware of another way to do that. If there is, I'd love to hear more about it. But so I'm not specifically saying that I want actions to run asynchronously. I'm just doing an execute JavaScript and stop execution. And I also tried doing an execute JavaScript and continue execution with a stop execution action at the end. That in combination with I did a function callback within the function I'm calling, so that there would be, the JavaScript wouldn't complete until my asynchronous operation was complete. But that still didn't work. That didn't solve the issue. It looks like when you stop execution, from what I can tell, when you stop execution on a button, no matter what you do, Plantain app will um, refresh that button, and my JavaScript was not having an impact before Plantain app refreshes that button.
Yeah, I can't say that I've had this situation. That sounds like a challenge. That's a pretty good solution though, to hide the button like that.
Patrick, just to confirm, this is the code that you're, I mean, the form of the code that you're running, this $Ajax call, right?
Exactly. Yep. Copied right from here, and then I in the process the response here, that's probably about 15 or 20 lines long there. So I do a lot of a lot of the processing on the data that I get back from the API.
So, one thing that just as a technique, and that's very similar to what you did, the hiding of things, excuse me, the hiding of things and providing your own. I was wondering if there was a way to put a screen above, um, a, so like to show a a level above that prevented interaction with the form during the execution. So you might be able to see things that are going on, or even hide things behind a level until so you might have a big please wait that's just above until execution is complete,
Um,
like a modal. I
Yeah,
used
that's
words instead of the one word that I would have helped. Yeah.
um, hmm. Yeah, that's possible that that could do the trick. The the problem that I face is that that seem to be like I tried lots of things like telling the button that it was disabled and things like that. And um but still once the it just it was a really I don't I guess I don't totally understand the order of events that's happening there, but no matter what I did, even if I hard coded disabling the button, still there was this transition where the button was available. It was still there.
Um,
Um,
at, so now that I've said it out loud, I was trying to say in JavaScript, could you pop a modal? But what about in True Plantain app? Could you pop a modal? If your action opened a modal that had a please wait indicator on it, and your JavaScript was executing from that modal, I think it would still have access to the underlying form. Not sure about that. Um, and then it could close the modal when it was done.
hmm. Yeah, that sounds like a possibility.
Yeah, I'm not sure to what level it has
Yeah.
access to the underlying form. So anyway, it's kind of a unique problem trying to getting it to act just the way that you want it. I understand. I mean, it's a very specific use case.
I just did a search on JS on chat to see if JS could be used to turn off or disable screen updating on your form for a short time, and the answer really is no, but they suggest using a technique very much like what you did.
Which is um
Hiding stuff.
hiding stuff or
Hiding
yeah,
hiding
okay.
something for a short period of time until you're ready to reveal it.
Yeah.
Another one is to cover it up, and that sounds familiar too. Thank you, Dale.
Yeah.
So, kind of stepping away from your question a little bit and just mentioning um, when you close a ticket, um,
You
that's
don't get any update or anything like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
it just kind of disappears from my world. So
Yeah. Yeah.
if you're really trying to communicate with me, just reply and say, uh, yeah, I'm done. Go ahead and close this, and I'll close it. But I it goes in an email someplace, and I manage things through a queue and
Yeah.
read all the emails. So
Well,
anyway,
that's good to know, Dale. I've closed a number of my tickets, and I
Yeah.
didn't know that leaves you unknowing.
Yeah. I was
Yeah.
just trying, I know that you have a lot, and so I was just trying to be helpful by getting it,
Well, and
getting it
and I
off your plate for you. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I appreciate that, and when they close, we assume you're happy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
But it yeah, it'll be useful if you really need me to know or want me to learn something, which I appreciate as well. And I can go back and look. It's just not in my face. If you reply, then I will look at it. And I
Mhm.
guess along the way, I'll say too that we have the community portal, and if you can ask a question here, and I appreciate when people ask questions here. There's a lot of people within the community that look and answer or try to help in addition to us, but these come by way of email to me as well, and so community is great if you want beyond support, uh, beyond just us looking at them. Um, but if it's truly a support issue, um, you'll have a faster response from us if it's a support ticket. And it never hurts my feelings if you open it in both places. But uh, anyway, I had
And I searched the community for because I thought that maybe somebody must have had a problem like this before. And the closest one I found, I don't remember the number, but it was from Peter. And he talked about there was a problem where he was trying to do some asynchronous JavaScript, and was his problem was a little bit different than mine, because it had to do with redirecting to another page or something like that. I'll see if I can find it. Uh, but but he didn't. There was no solution. I think Ben asked him a question, and he replied, and then that was it for that.
So while we're here on the community portal, there was this question about the inline add feature of our listings module, and it wasn't working as expected. And it was giving, let's see if I can improve these. You clicked inline add, and it was giving these buttons, which were I think, to save or cancel. So anyway, this is something that got broken in 127, and there's um, a release coming. There's a hotfix coming that will solve that. So anyway,
Do you know how far out that hotfix is? I use that feature.
um, well, let's see what I said. I think this is one that's yeah, it's done. And if you needed it today, I could give it to you today. But our release process is such that what we're trying to do is install work that's been completed on our internal systems that we use every day, and make sure that we're the first ones to experience anything that might go wrong from that, if at all possible. So there's a week built into the cycle that uh, this is done, and it'll probably be released next week, which we're trying to do these every Tuesday. If anybody who encountered it, I could make it available.
No, we won't. We won't be using that system until October, so it's fine.
Yeah, I truly expect it to go out on Tuesday. Has anyone seen the new cumulative release? Uh, is that showing up on your um, updates screen instead of, or in addition to the hot fixes?
I saw it. There wasn't a cumulative there yet for me to apply, but I saw
Yeah.
the tab for it.
Yeah. Um, this one doesn't happen to have it. Let's see if I can find one that does. But yeah, we're really hoping that this adds to stability, that as we release things, um, reducing number of permutations of things that are available. You'll have all the same things that everyone else does at the same time rather than just your one thing. Hopefully that'll lead to stability. Apparently this one doesn't have it. Oh, no, it's still loading. So I'm just trying to show it off, but if anyone has anything else to talk about while I'm trying to get there, we can do that too. So you should see hotfixes obsolete. It's the same older mechanism that we've had for a long time. And then cumulative hotfixes, there'll be one item per week. If you install and so previous weeks would be listed as well. And so you could install previous weeks, but if you install the most recent week, you're going to get everything. So if you're trying to install everything, just install the one for the current week and you'll get everything. And it's an all or none. If you can install a given week, you can see everything that's included in it. But once it's there is no way to say I just want this thing over here. You'll get everything. Well, now we're on last call. If you have something that you wanted to talk about, you're encouraged to jump in. Otherwise, I'm going to turn the recording off. All right. Thanks for joining us for Low-Code Campfire for whatever day it is, September 5th, I guess. We will do this again next week. And if you're inclined, hang around for another few minutes and we will go into our afterglow segment. And now I've already forgotten to see the hotkey that lets me stop this. So I got to find it. But thanks, everyone. We'll see you then.
Thanks, Dale.